DNA under a microscope. Here's what happens when you put your DNA under a microscope. You can extract some from your mouth. Just gargle salt water and mix this with soap and rubbing alcohol. In the 1960s, as a biochemistry student at Berkeley, Kary Mullis wasn't interested in going to his classes. He was too busy taking LSD and lots of it. Mullis didn't take university very seriously. His PhD dissertation was filled with jokes and the committee refused to approve it until he, quote, cut all the wacko stuff out. But LSD fueled his eccentric genius, sparking all sorts of interesting ideas. It did trickle into his science. So for example, he wrote a letter to the journal Nature, which chronicled the, quote, entire universe from the beginning to the end, and they published it, which is amazing. He was like 22 years old. They published that. After graduating, Mullis just bummed around for a bit. First, he gets a job in a cardiology lab, but he's just kind of so horrified at how many rats are being killed. So he starts writing fiction. He gets a job in a bakery. One day he's working in this bakery, and this guy, Tom White, walks in, and it turns out Tom White works at this company. It's a biotech startup called Cetus. They sort of get to talking, and this guy offers Kary Mullis. He offers him a job. White recommended Mullis to his higher-ups, saying, "Hire this guy Mullis, he's an excellent synthetic chemist." I knew he was a good chemist because he'd been synthesizing hallucinogenic drugs at Berkeley. Cetus, an early biotech. Cetus was one of the first biotech companies in the world. It was founded in 1971. An exciting time when scientists were starting to figure out how to manipulate DNA. One of the most important discoveries was actually made that year while researchers at Johns Hopkins were studying the bacteriophage. The phage is a virus that hijacks bacteria by injecting its DNA into the cell. The bacteria is then forced to create copies of the phage until it explodes. But the researchers realized that some bacteria evolved defenses that make them more resistant to the virus. Their defensive molecules would scan the phage DNA, looking for a specific sequence, and when they found a match, they would cut the DNA, turning it into useless strings. Scientists called these little scissor molecules restriction enzymes, and different types of restriction enzymes cut DNA at different places, and they work on human DNA too. So the researchers extracted the enzymes to essentially create a toolbox of nanoscopic scissors that would allow them to cut DNA at will. Cetus was trying to use biotech like this to develop commercial DNA tests that hospitals could use to quickly diagnose diseases. But at the time, simple DNA